1956, being an 18-year-old, I'd left school at 15 and worked for different growers around the Coomiella area. And in '56, I was working for Ed Keenan, who had a citrus block. When the flood came up, we're all aware that it was going to flood, but not knowing how big it was going to be, it went on for quite a few months, and then it got serious because Wentworth looked like it was going to flood. And he asked me if I'd work over around the Wentworth Hospital with a tractor because I had a call up for tractors and scoops. So that's how I got to work on the flood levee banks. I was assigned to the levee bank around the hospital itself, which was a separate one altogether from the town. I wasn't the only one working there. There would have been probably 4 or 5 tractors there working on the bank with all of their scoops. They were mostly growers from around Coomiella, and we spent quite a long time there building them up day after day to keep ahead of the flood, which kept coming up roughly about an inch or so a day. You'd think you had it safe, you come back next morning to work and there it was nearly up to the top again, so you worked all day again to try and get it back into a safe level again. Yeah, a lot of guys there working, doing sandbagging as well, and they were carting dirt on tractors and trailers and filling sandbags and working with the others who were on the tractors and scoops. Plus there were trucks coming in carting dirt in for us to build the levee bank up with, because inside the area of the hospital there was nowhere you could just dig up the soil on site. There was just no room at all. I'm amazed that they kept it out with the primitive, by today's standards, primitive machinery we had. The banks never broke. There was a lot of people working on them, people from all over the place. Even the army were in there for a while. I'm not sure what elevated the Fergie at all. I guess there were so many of them there, and they were the most versatile tractor at the time because a lot of the other tractors were too heavy, and it was light. It was able to get up on the levee banks and drop the soil off so that it could be spread much easier than any of the others. Oh, there were a few accidents where around the hospital. I think there's at least 2 I remember that slipped over the edge and went into the riverside of the bank, which we managed to drag out. But the bigger tractors like Fortunes or something like that would have been much too big to do that job. And so I guess they got their legend status from their capabilities, I guess, and there were plenty of them around the area to use. As far as smokers go, it was all supplied by the hospital staff, lunch as well, and they were really good to work with, and they were very appreciative of what we did. It was obvious, but they made it a pleasure to work there, put it that way, even though there was a lot of urgency with it. They were great, and I've got lots of good memories of that. When I was working around the hospital, I wasn't aware how extensively water had flooded out, but seeing some aerial photos, it gives you an idea how isolated the whole town, the hospital, everything was, and how much of a predicament they were in. And if the river had kept coming up much more, I don't think it would have the town would have survived. They had a few near breaks, and they used to patrol the banks all overnight as well to make sure nothing was starting to get away on them. Yeah, that was quite dangerous, I think, at times, especially if the wind blew and it would blow the water over the banks a bit and create a bit of wash. 70 years since '56 flood. A lot of things have faded in memory-wise, but it never goes away. It's always there. And I guess it was a bit more a reminder when we had a flood here 3 years ago, and the flood got close to that level, and where we are at the moment, where this is being recorded, my house was probably about 800 mil above the '56 flood, and it wasn't underwater. I was still living here, but I had to boat out. I boated out for probably nearly a month, I guess. I had to boat out about 1 kilometre from where I am through all the scrub to get to where I could park a car. So yeah, it's going to stick with me, I think, for the few years I've got left.